New York Fashion Week model didn't receive any money for her work, which is crazy. Imagine not getting paid at all for your work. This runway model is taking a stand in her stilettos. Taylor Stewart risked her modeling career to expose the mistreatment she said she and other industry pros experienced during New York Fashion Week, where she didn't receive a penny working 7 shows. Which, by the way, this is like disgusting, right? If you have people like working a job, pay them. None of us were getting paid, like I'm talking models, hair and makeup, stylists, even event staff, the 25-year-old stunner told the Post. I have no other word than disgusting. And I just couldn't stand to witness so many amazing, hardworking people get taken advantage of anymore, including myself. On day 3 of Fashion Week, which ran from February 9th to 15th, the Canadian native posted a 4-part series of TikTok videos titled New York Fashion Week is a Scam. What a statement. She detailed deplorable industry standards where mid-level companies attract talent with promises of exposure. Wow. They really have a way of convincing you like, oh, you should do this for us because it's going to boost your career. Like, you're going to get connections out of this, she said, and it's just simply not true. Her post generated 75,000 views in just 24 hours and inspired others to share similar experiences. One girl said to me that they didn't even credit her name when they posted hairstyle photos. So she said, I literally got nothing out of it. Spent so much money to go there, she explained. Like, that is just disgusting, right? Stewart, who now lives in Miami, estimates she spent 4 grand to travel to New York to attend Fashion Week last September, paying for her airfare and hotels out of her own pocket. Another thing that I was shocked about too is we had to go and buy shoes, she recalled. They wanted specific shoes to be worn. You had to buy them with your own money. I gotta say, if everything that she says is true in this like article and all that kind of stuff, this is beyond messed up. You're basically saying like, oh, you're going to get so many benefits because you're going to get an audience, you're going to have so many people following you now, you're going to be famous, right? Like, this is kind of like, this is almost as horrendous as the back, not back page, but like, what is it? The something involved with a couch. Basically, like, oh, you're gonna like model for us on this couch or whatever, and then you basically casting couch. That's what it is. So basically, I think there was a thing years ago where this guy was pretty much saying like, oh, like, model for us, do whatever, and basically filmed pretty much like adult videos with these ladies who were there supposed to be maybe like just modeling, and they did it like willingly, sometimes not even getting paid, I think, because they wanted the attention or were promised attention or they were promised something, but they didn't get basically anything out of it, had their reputations ruined, all that sort of stuff. So it's just horrible to do something like this to people. Last fall, she walked 7 runways for Society Fashion Week, a global fashion show producer based in Midtown West. I'm a size 4 to 6, and I kept getting referred to as the bigger model, she said. One of the casting people said, you're just too, like, healthy looking. It looks cheap because you don't have that kind of run down look. What? That's so crazy. Like, I don't see anything wrong with her. Like, what is going on here? So she was body shamed for being a size 4 to 6 because she looks healthy. They're insulting these chicks because they look healthy. Like, oh, hey, you don't look like you're dying. Oh, man. That's so bad. Now you just look ugly because you don't look like you're dying from starvation. Maybe you gotta go onto a diet of cigarettes and cocaine. Like, what? Or Adderall. The conditions backstage at the Hall Mirrors in Midtown West, where she walked, were not only dirty, but dangerous. When I got to the dressing rooms, it was like filthy, dirty up huge flights of stairs, she recalled. One girl actually fell down the stairs and broke her toe, and they still made her walk. By the way, keep in mind that they didn't pay them. So she had to walk with a broken toe without getting paid. The 5'10" blonde beauty put in 8 to 10 hour workdays, with most of her time spent waiting for her name to be called. They would tell me to show up at 9 in the morning, and I would sit around until 3 in the afternoon, she explained. A rep for Society Fashion Week, when asked by the Post about alleged non-payment, said, "Our goal is to be at the forefront of ensuring everyone is compensated for their time and continue pushing the entire industry forward." Which basically meant that they literally did not even talk about them not paying people. Many TikTok users also called out the independent fashion production company High Tech Moda in Midtown for not paying, and it did not respond to a request for comment. The thing is, this girl probably could just make more money from like social media. If she has any form of social media with like any sort of decent following, she could probably make more money through that. I can also confirm this because I went to their casting and they told everyone that there would be no pay, it would all be exposure and photos, she said. At this month's Fashion Week, she was casted in a show for Times Square based Runway 7 Fashion, which also did not respond to the post. However, she ended up choosing not to participate after witnessing the same mistreatment during his rehearsal. I pulled out. I had made up my mind that I was done with all of it, she said. Which, by the way, like, I understand her like pulling out and stuff. Like, imagine you were to go someplace, they tell you that, oh, like, yeah, you're gonna get like not paid, but you gotta do all this sort of stuff. You gotta spend all your own money, but it's gonna be worth it to you because you're gonna get so much more exposure. Like, it's kind of like a situation. Like, say that you were able to do voice acting for some sort of like cartoon film or cartoon show, right? So you go through all the time spent doing like a voiceover or whatever. They use your voice for however many episodes and don't even credit you. You get nothing out of it at all. And then they're basically like, oh, by the way, you want to also do this other thing? We're not going to pay you still. It's, Stewart, who was just cast in a short film, says she's on the older side than most of the models being exploited. I've met a lot of 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, because that's what they look for, right? She said, people that don't really understand what they deserve yet and are very easy to manipulate. Oof. Let's see some of these comments. But because of NYFW, this girl got in the New York Post. That's exposure. Let's see. This is laughable. There are literally millions of intern jobs across the US that pay nothing. I tell young people all the time, never take a non-paying job for any reason. Every salary you get for your new job is based on the salary of your previous job. If you accept nothing for your first job, your next employer doesn't see why they should have to pay you more. I mean, that's a pretty good point. These models are there for two things. No 18-year-old can afford the $4,000, so it's a mini vacation their parents pay for. Second, to meet guys. I lived in New York City for 23 years and worked in finance. There are thousands and thousands of model actress wannabes running around looking for guys with a nice apartment and good job. They are everywhere. I mean, if that's the case, I'd be kind of like sad and disgusting. Let's see. No sympathy. You chose to perform for the exposure. Despite knowing you will not get paid, Obviously, there are too many people in the industry. If so, many choose to work for free. Time to go back to school, either college or trade. Interesting. Like, here's the thing. I do kind of have mixed feelings about this. Like, I think it's kind of wrong to not pay people like this, but they made it clear that they weren't going to pay people, right? I think it'd be a very different situation if they basically promised them, like, hey, we're going to pay you for your time over here, but actually, instead of actually paying you cash, we already paid you an exposure, so it's worth it. Like, if that was the case, I'd be pretty pissed off. Let's see. Then don't do it if you won't get paid. There must be a reason why you still did it. Maybe for the experience, chance of getting noticed. Well, they promised that they'd get good exposure, right? So let's see. She did it for the exposure, but the fashion houses hustled the women by dangling a dream in front of them. They got X amount of beautiful models without having to spend a dime. The models got fleeced for their services. Yeah, interesting. Thanks for telling the truth. I hope it opened some eyes. Let's see. Let's see. Yes, exposure dollars would not pay the rent. It seems the fashion industry is no different than the entertainment industry, where club owners expect musicians, bands, and comedians to perform for the exposure. That being said, I'm sure there are some underrepresented models like her, just as there are very few musicians and comedians who turn the tables, take charge, and use the opportunity before them to create their own buzz and further their own career. Credit her with getting to the city and once taking part, but the thinking that she would be taken care of from that point on is wrong. With her pretty healthy all American girl appearance, she is likely destined for good work as a regional model for catalog work and other advertising in Miami, and she should stick to that. Like like this is so weird, right? Like I feel like a lot of these models need to find a path for them where they could just generate their own revenue. The sad part is a lot of those types of girls will go down a certain path, which is basically the OF path, which I mean is recurring revenue, and if they're able to get a certain amount of subscribers on there, they can make good money, enough to basically pay for whatever lifestyle that they have. But it's just like it sucks that that's basically what they're pretty much going to have to resort to be more independent out of this scene, which is kind of weird.